That'll wake you up. Good morning, everybody. Morning. I like that. Very good. You can do that anytime. Well, that's our way of saying welcome to another Sunday here at First Unitarian Society, where independent thinkers gather in a safe, nurturing environment to explore issues of social, spiritual, and ethical significance as we try to make a difference in this world. I'm Steve Goldberg, a proud, unbelievably popular member of this congregation, but today I'm having a bad hair day. But in spite of that, I'd like to extend a special welcome to any guests, visitors, or newcomers. If this is your first time at First Unitarian Society, I think you'll find that it's a special place. And if you'd like to learn more about our special buildings, we will be conducting a guided tour after today's service. Just gather over here by the windows after the service, and we'll take good care of you. Speaking of taking good care of each other, I think you all know the drill by this time. This would be a perfect time to silence those pesky electronic devices that you just will not need during the service. And while you're taking care of that important task, let me update you on a couple announcements. They all involve numbers. The first number is 10, as in 10 o'clock in the morning, because starting next week, on Sundays, we just have one service, and that's 10 a.m., and the Saturday services will take a hiatus during the summer as well, again, starting next week. So 10 a.m., and for those of us who aren't morning people, that is a welcome change. The next number is June 2nd. Sunday, June 2nd, is our parish meeting, parish meeting right here, including a wonderful catered lunch and an opportunity to get updated on all things parish related. Not to be confused with this afternoon's financial forum at 12:30, which is also in this room. But that's not the parish meeting, that's the parish financial forum. If you can keep that straight, you're more awake than I am. The next number is 27. 27 days until Cabaret. You got it, Cabaret. The theme for Cabaret on June 15, Saturday evening, is game night. So bring your game face, bring your game muscle memory. We're trying to find a pinball machine, by the way. And this is going to be fun for the whole family. We have a special children's cabaret with games just for the kids, and then we have other adult games that everybody can enjoy. Now, speaking of cabaret and why we enjoy it so much, Jen Savajian has offered to make some observations about why she and her family like cabaret so much. So Jen, come on up here, please. So Jen, why do you want to share information about cabaret?
Okay, so my husband and I are fairly new to FUS. We've been here for a couple years, and we went to our first cabaret last year, and we had so much fun. We were kind of like, well, there's free childcare, and we can eat, so let's make it kind of a date night. We'll get to meet some new people. I like bidding on stuff, and dinner was included. It even accommodated my vegan diet. So we just had such a good time. It was such a blast, but we were a little disappointed that we didn't see more families there. So this year, I made it my mission to get more involved, and we've been working with the team to make this a much more family-friendly cabaret. So as Steve mentioned, we're doing game night, which is super fun for everybody, but we're also having that kids cabaret. So while you guys are having your adult time on this side, we're going to be hosting kids on the other side, age 12 and under, and we're really amping up our game here, no pun intended, or pun intended. We are going to have dominoes and an Uno tournament and arts and crafts and a movie and a bounce house and dinners included for the kids. So your kids will be fed, taken care of, having a blast on one side while you guys are having your fun on the other side. And it's all included in your ticket price. There's nothing extra for the kids. So we're really hoping to get a lot more families there. We're even including some more family-friendly auction items. So we're looking to get water park passes and mini golf and a lot of things to keep families active and involved in what we're doing here. And we just had so much fun. We don't want anyone else to miss out on this opportunity. So June 15th, we're hoping that you and your families are able to make it. We have childcare for kids 2 and under too, so if you have babies and it's a little bit too much going on with all the kids' games and stuff, we've got plans for them too. Also, you're gonna wanna check out our table afterwards if you have any more questions. We can help you there, and we need volunteers. So people who have energy that wanna work with young people, we definitely need some kids cabaret volunteers, and then we need volunteers for a bunch of other stuff. So come over to our table afterwards, check it out, we'll answer your questions. You will not want to miss it. We're gonna be doing some really fun games, and it's gonna be fun for everyone. So hope to see you there.
Thank you, Jen. I think you can see the enthusiasm for this event. This is my favorite event of the year at Cabaret, and it's really one of the social highlights of the Cabaret calendar. So June 15, Saturday evening, how many days? 27, all right. And next week we'll have a quiz about how many days after that. Okay, so endeth the announcements. Please sit back now and relax, although I know you're all excited about Cabaret, but try to relax a little bit. Remember to see us at the Cabaret table to register your auction item that you might be donating to the auction, as well as signing up for the volunteer opportunities that Jen described so well. Please sit back, enjoy the service. I know it will touch your heart, stir your spirit, and trigger 1 or 2 thoughts. We're really glad that you're here.
Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away as the uncertain harvest. Keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. If you will rise now in all the ways we do and join together in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. In the mystery of life about us, there is light. It gives us a place to be, to grow, to rejoice together. It opens the pathways to love. In this place of friendship, there is freedom. Let the light we kindle go before us, strong in hope, wide in goodwill, inviting the days to come. And before we join together in song, if you'll take a moment to turn and greet those around you.
And good morning. Let us sing together hymn number 305, De Colores. We will sing verses 1, 2, and then 1 in Spanish. So we're skipping verse 3. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as a rainbow appears when a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. In Spanish this time. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es al arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Thank you. You may be seated.
Forward for a message for all ages.
Come one, come all. I know, there are a lot of flowers.
Are you talking about flowers? Yes, the song and the flowers go together. Did anyone else notice that?
It's a tradition, actually, to sing here. Let's see.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I realized that I love most about springtime is that so many of our services have special things that are a part of them. We have so many celebrations and ceremonies that are a part of springtime worship services.
Like today.
Like today,
Today
exactly.
is a special ceremony.
Like flower communion, and we talked about the cabaret, which is its own celebration, and it has its own set of traditions. And so I'm aware that ceremonies have a couple of things going on. One is that they remind us of connections. They remind us of how we're connected to different parts of ourselves and to each other, and they use some special words sometimes music, and almost always we do something special as part of those ceremonies.
That's definitely true for today.
That's right. A big part of the flower communion has to do with what we sing, what we say about the flowers, and then we take part in the communion. But also, there's always a second layer to it as well.
Oh, really?
That ceremonies and celebrations are also asking us to think about what is more important in our life. And so flower communion is an example. In a few minutes, we'll think more about that. But I wonder what other celebrations and ceremonies we can think of that either are in our lives or that we do here.
How about you? Do you ever celebrate?
What should I say? Christmas.
Christmas
is
so
one idea.
Holidays are a way that we celebrate, yeah. Easter.
Yeah.
Birthdays.
Birthdays. Now that's
Actually-
a good one that we wanted to talk about too. So birthdays we celebrate by doing what?
Having presents.
We have presents, we eat cake and candy, and maybe we sing Happy birthday,
to-
right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so that's one, we're connecting with our family and our friends, and we also, it has a deeper meaning. Why do we celebrate birthdays?
What do you think the deeper meaning of birthdays are? Yeah, you can just call out.
We're getting older.
We're getting older.
We're getting older and like it's the day you were born.
It's so
The day you were
important
born.
because that's the day you were born, and each
Exactly.
person's life is so important.
Yes, well, you can just say it out loud. What do you want to share? Your
Oh.
birthday is pretty soon. Well, how perfect that we're talking about it. So, when is it?
The
The
23rd.
23rd. Very good. So there are other things that we do. Let's see, what else do we do? Oh, yeah. So, an interesting thing is that we begin the summer by doing flower communion. And then at the end of the summer, we come back together for water communion. And in water communion, one of the things that we always do is that we bring water from our summer to help bring us back together. And the deeper meaning, I think at least, is that it reminds us that what we do and all that we are as a community really helps us be stronger as a community. That's something that celebrations do all the time.
And we're kind of like water too, because we all kind of end up flowing back here
Yes, we
together.
do, after a summer of doing various things. Let's see, what else? What are some other ceremonies? Oh, yeah.
Weddings. So actually, weddings, people love to get married in June.
Yep, so
And
it's a big time
that's-
for weddings.
And what are weddings about? Are they about love? Yeah, so really celebrating people who love each other and are committed to each other.
They're also about marrying.
They
They're
are
about
also about marrying,
Yeah,
I
so
hear. Yes.
commitment.
Weddings get they're about getting closer together and sharing
They're
what you like.
about getting closer together and sharing what you like.
yeah.
So many beautiful things happen with weddings.
And they say special words, and they often have special music.
Yep.
So it sticks with the pattern.
Exactly.
Let's see, what else? What else are there? Oh, yeah. So this doesn't seem
Memorials.
as happy, but it's very important. We also we honor memorial services.
Celebrating the dead.
The dead, exactly.
Celebrating
yeah.
the dead.
Remembering them, and so often the music reminds us of how we comfort each other. The music sometimes reminds us of the person that we're missing, so it's a really important part of what we do here is to honor the people that we love when they die. So
And we
so
also
that's-
get to tell stories about the people we
we
love.
tell stories. We often bring photographs of them. So it's really a very, very meaningful ceremony that we do.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. Oh.
Child dedication.
And
So
this is a very special family, too. If you look closely, it goes way back.
This is kind of related to people being born, but it's about young people coming into this religious community where we honor and bless the kids to be whole and spiritual for their whole and spiritual lives.
Right.
So what are some of the things we do during child dedications?
We use a rose. We use a flower. Again, and what do we do with the rose? What do we do with... We take off all the thorns, and then we give it as a gift. What else do we give as a gift? We give... Yeah. A blanket,
One of the
exactly.
shawls from
and
our
we
shawl
use water
ministry.
as part of the service as well as a blessing for the child.
To bless their minds and their speech and their heart.
Yeah.
And
And
there are
flowers.
flowers involved, exactly.
Which brings us back full circle to flower communion. So flower communion came at a time whenever the world had a lot of fear in it and people were acting very hatefully towards each other. And this ceremony meant to remind us how important it was to be loving and giving to each other, and how we needed everyone. We needed all of the people, all of our unique diversity, sort of like the way that all of these different flowers that we brought come together to build something beautiful.
And they're each different and unique.
So if you will turn to 724, and you'll see up here in front of you the words of the minister who first started Flower Communion. And just for a moment, read through them and see what words are especially meaningful to you today. They're words like what? There's love, diversity, affection, knowledge. Gift, yeah. So it tells us a lot about what this time is about. So why don't we all together read the words to the consecration, which is a way of blessing these flowers, together?
Yeah.
As we say, Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessings on these thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship and community as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of one another's talents discourage us or sully our relationships. May we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. So that reminds us a lot about what this time is about.
So now these flowers are blessed, and they are going to be ready for our ceremony later. And I think it's time now for you all to get to go to your last class of the school year.
But first,
we're going to listen to a really special song.
And then go to class.
And then we get to go to class.
Spring on the rainbow rise.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good class. Thanks for being here.
I was watching the children sing and just thinking, what a beautiful bouquet of flowers we have before us. This morning reading comes from Richard S. Gilbert. He writes, "Speak, flowers, speak. Why do you say nothing? The flowers have the gift of language. In the meadow, they speak of freedom, creating patterns wild and free as no gardener could match. In the forest, they nestle, snug carpets under the roof of leaf and branch, making a rug of such softness. At the end tip of branches, they cling briefly before bursting into fruit sweet to the taste. Flowers, can you not speak of joy to our sadness and hope to our fear? Can you not say how it is with you that you color the darkest corner? The flowers have the gift of language. At the occasion of birth, they are buds before bursting. At the ceremony of love, they unite two lovers in beauty. At the occasion of death, they remind us how lovely is life. Oh, would you that had that voice, silent messengers of hope. Would that you could tell us how you feel, arrayed in such beauty. The flowers have the gift of language. In the dark depths of a death camp, they speak the light of life. In the face of cruelty, they speak of courage. In the experience of ugliness, they bespeak the persistence of beauty. Speak, messengers, speak, for we would hear your message. Speak, messengers, speak, for we need to hear what you would say. For the flowers have the gift of language. They transport the human voice on winds of beauty. They lift the melody of song to our ears. They paint through the eye and the hand of the artist. Their fragrance binds us to sweet-smelling earth. May the blessing of the flowers be upon you. May their beauty beckon to you each morning, and their loveliness lure you to each day, and their tenderness caress you on each night. May their delicate petals make you gentle, and their eyes make you aware. May their stems make you sturdy, and their reaching make you care. Here ends the reading. I invite you now into a time of music where we sing together hymn number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. And I invite you to rise in all the ways that we do.
Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky song, in the forest sounds your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Many drops are in the ocean deep and wide. Sunlight light bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? I am empty, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts, take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our art.
You may be seated. The minister who wrote the words of the hymn we just sang many years ago stood before his congregation with deep intention in his heart and surveyed them for a moment before he shared these words. In the name of that which implants in the seed the future of the tree, and in the heart of humanity the longing for people living in neighborly love. In the name of the highest, in whom we move and who makes the mother, the father, the brother, and the sister what they are. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of the kingdom of peace and justice. Let us renew our resolution sincerely to be real brothers and sisters, regardless of any kind of barrier which estranges person from person. In this holy resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are one family, that one Spirit, the Spirit of love unites us, and that our work together for a more perfect and more joyful life leads us on. Flower Communion began in 1923 in Prague. And in that village, that town, there was a church. And that church was a building fairly different from other churches within Prague. It had no bell, no spire, no stained glass windows. Inside, it had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't have a piano. There were no carvings of wood or statues of stone. There was not even any candles or, back then, a chalice, and certainly no flowers. But it had 4 walls and a ceiling and windows and simple chairs. And every Sunday, Norbert Capek, their minister, offered a message. For a few moments, the congregation would turn to each other and thoughtfully discuss that message, and then they would go home. That was the service. There was no singing of hymns. There was no coffee. It was the most amazing thing ever, so different from Unitarian Universalism today. But it was also a very powerful time in Prague. Since World War I, Europe had been in a time of great change and tension. And the tension set light to the prejudices and fears of the people. Great promise and great anxiety stood in tension. And so that springtime, Norbert was out for a walk, and the rains had come, and the birds were singing, and the flowers were blooming, and the world was beautiful. And in that moment, an idea came to him that was both as simple and as clear as that day. And so the next Sunday, he asked all the people in the church to bring a flower on a budding branch or even a twig to church. And they were curious about these instructions. What are we going to do with them? What kind of flowers should I bring? What color? What size? And he said simply, you choose. You choose what you like. And so, on that next Sunday, The first day of summer, these people each came with flowers of different colors and sizes and kinds, and there were yellow daisies and red roses. There were white lilies and blue asters and dark-eyed pansies, pink and purple and orange and gold, all colors and more. And together they made a beautiful and colorful and stark contrast to the plainness of that space before that ceremony. And he said to them simply, "These flowers are like ourselves, different colors, different shapes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important, each special in its own way." In this time and in this place, I wonder if we were curious about flower communion, what it might say to us more meaningfully now. And especially because we know the rest of the story, that in addition to the power of the flowers reminding people of how amazing and powerful and colorful both their diversity and human diversity is, it also inspired Norbert Capek to continue to preach the gospel of diversity. And it was a popular one. And eventually, that church became the largest Unitarian church in the world with over 3,200 members. But that notoriety and size put Capek in the sights of the Nazis that were beginning to preach a very different kind of sermon. And he refused to change his message. In the midst of tyranny and hatred and fear, he continued to preach beauty and diversity. And for that family paid a heavy price, as did so many families. Norbert and one of his daughters were taken by the Gestapo, and although a court of law found Norbert not guilty of any charges, still he was taken to Dachau, where eventually, after being the subject of experimentation, he died. And his daughter was sentenced to a labor camp. And the rest of his family, including his wife Maya, were able to survive and leave in 1939, but they continued their work with Unitarian and Quaker aid societies to help others. So the tradition of flower communion was born, and it made its way all over the world, in part because of the work of Maya to keep the legacy of her husband and his message alive. But I'm curious, what in this time in particular would be most meaningful to us about flower communion? How its simple and plain but powerful message might speak to us now, especially in this time when we seem to be caught between two powerful forces of our own. One, the obscenity of the continuing dehumanizing actions of the 45th President of the United States. And just even this week, the flurry of reactive actions in states around abortion rights heralds our own time of tyranny and hatred and fear. And I know so many of our congregations and our communities of progressives feel themselves mired in a spirit of hopelessness and powerlessness now that is so overwhelming. I am curious what it is that this message, this communion, the words that we read might say on a deeper level to us. I believe it might remind us about the communion's connection to the earth and its emphasis on cycles. Certainly, as I preached before, the cycles that celebrate and suggest the reminder of the both ands of life. How in many times when there seems to be a winter reality around us, underneath that cold, something is at work, something is growing and fomenting and will eventually give birth and blossom. But at the same time, we have to remember that even in the spring or even in times of renewal, we also are intermingling deep times of real and profound senses of grief and loss. That powerful interplay goes on throughout human history and in the world. And a larger cycle as well, the cycle of history. I have again and again been reminded that the stories of World War II in so many ways echo the changes that have happened in our time, in our world, not just in our country, but around the world. What would it mean to sit more powerfully with the lessons of those cycles, the cycles of nature, the cycles of humanity, and let them teach us more deeply now? And I'm not suggesting some simple lesson that we will quickly learn, but what might it say to us to remember these deep cycles when we think about our own resilience? When we think that we are invited in some way to take our place in history, but what will that look like? Especially if we know that history tells us that we're part of a larger cycle that will make its way again and again. It is no less important what we do, but what might it say to us about how we might act more effectively or understand ourselves in this time more powerfully? How might it help us know what it is that we best would do with the preciousness of this time? I'm also reminded by this communion of the importance of its basic message in a new way. Because it's easy for us to become sort of trite and dismissive about the idea of the importance of beauty and of simple giving and love. But the thing is, while in this time we need our righteous indignation and our rage and our anger, if that is the only place from which we act, we will not only be not as effective, but steeped in something that is as likely to do damage as to do good. I believe it is only when we are inspired by the goodness of life, when we are inspired by the beauty of life, when we turn our hearts and minds to the real power of love, that we are inspired to do the important work, even when we are exhausted, even when we are overwhelmed. We are called in a different way by those forces than fear or hatred can ever call us, and we have to remember that power and act from it now. What would it mean for us to hear the words of Norbert Capek in light of what is happening in the world now? To hear it as a revolutionary call in this holy resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that we are one family, that one spirit, the spirit of love unites us, and that our work together for a more perfect and more joyful life leads us on. What would it mean if that communion today inspired us to do that work? May a sense of urgent curiosity inspire us as we celebrate and honor our community and our connection to the world. Amen, and blessed be.
This weekend, in honor of Flower Communion, our offering is given in its entirety to our partner church program. Our congregation has been blessed with a partnership with the Unitarian Church of Najoita since 1992. This partnership connects us to our historic Unitarian roots in Transylvania and fosters personal transformation through relationship and community building. Through our partners and their long history of oppression and struggle, They teach us resilience, perseverance, the power of community, and the power of a deep and abiding faith. The funds raised through our efforts support the continued education of both high school and college students from the Najoita Parish and also their congregation's music program. There's a table in the Commons directly across from the auditorium with more information on our partnership and ways that you can get involved. We thank you for your generosity.
Following in the spirit of the gift of music, may we take a moment as we move briefly into our cares of the congregation to let our breath be an invitation to deep presence here. For just a couple of moments in silence, I invite you to turn your awareness to your breath, to breathe deeply the spirit of life, to be aware of how it feels in your body, and as you release your breath, to let go of some of the distraction and heaviness that you may carry. So for just a couple of moments before we turn our minds to our cares and our joys, may we breathe together and be. as we join together each week. The Spirit of life accompanies us and reminds us of the power of each of our lives. For a moment, may we remember the joys and sorrows that we each bring with us, about our own life and about the lives of those that we love, and hold them here in this community of love and justice and concern. We hold also the thoughts of those not in this room right now, but in our hearts. We hold Leah Sinclair in our hearts as she remains at St. Mary's Hospital. We wish her strength and healing in the days ahead. We hold the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken and unwritten as well. Remembering that we are part of a web of life that connects us each with one another, with all that is. We are grateful for that connection, for the miracle of our lives, for the ongoing opportunity to care, to remember, to love. On this day, when we celebrate the power and beauty of that connection, we hope and pray in that spirit. Amen. And blessed be.
In honor of Flower Communion today, we have a responsive reading, which is printed in your order of service on your insert. It is for flowers and people, and I will begin and invite you to read the bold. True beauty comes from the earth. It is found in flowers and trees and all living things that make this life a rainbow of color. Same life that has made plants and creatures has given birth to us, that we might add to its richness. Once we arrogantly believed in our dominion. We thought that nature's bounty was ours to find, use up, and throw away. No, that we must be kind to nature if it is to be kind to us, that our task is to protect and preserve, not to waste or destroy. Once, too, we believed that we could trust only our own tribe, that those who looked or spoke differently were natural enemies. This is a common life, and only as we are good to each other are we secure ourselves. Yet we have difficulty expressing the community we feel. Having so long learned war, it is hard to practice peace. There is courage needed for friendship. Courage not frightened by difference, nor afraid of being misunderstood. So we come to each other with gifts, and we say, "Take this present I have brought you, accept my gift, and accept me as a friend. Out of sharing shall we all be made richer. In the giving of flowers to each other, we shall find greater beauty and more abundant peace."
Now, as we prepare to leave this place, I invite you to take one of these flowers. Take a different one than the one you brought. Take it not to keep forever. Nothing is forever. Take a flower as a symbol of gratitude for beauty we do not create, for blessings we do not deserve, for joys which come unexpected. Take a flower as a symbol of your participation in the community of this congregation, in the community of humankind, the community of all living things, the universal community. If by chance you did not bring a flower, take one anyway. Take a flower as a symbol that beauty and grace and joy and love are not matters of reciprocity. Knowing how to receive is fully as important as knowing how to give. The vases of flowers will be brought back out to the commons. As you leave, please take a flower from these bouquets we have created together, knowing that in this spirit, we share in the long history of religious freedom and the power of our faith. Remember that the flower you will hold in your hand is a gift of a friend, brought in good faith to this community and a reminder of the history we inherit as we walk the paths of our journey. May these earthly symbols remind us of a deeper truth, that in the days of our joys and in the days of our struggles, we are never truly alone. And if you will rise now in all the ways we do for our closing hymn, number 63.
Has now unwrapped the flowers, day is fast reviving, life in all her growing powers, toward the light is striving. Come the iron touch of cold, winter time and frost time, seedlings working through the mold, now make up for lost time. Herb and plant that winter long slumbered at the leisure, now bestirring green and strong, find in growth their pleasure. All the world with beauty fills, gold the green enhancing. Flowers make glee among the hills, set the meadows dancing.
May we leave here today ever thankful for the persistence of flowers and open ourselves to their long wisdom. Often they grow in spite of terrible winters and miserable summers. May we remember that strange beauty greets us in unexpected places, as if there is a particular grace that is stronger than indifference. When we tend our gardens with love and care, the reward will be greater than the effort. May the flowers ever speak to us of wonder and glories yet to be, of hopes fulfilled if we remember to tend our gardens and our homes with patience and wisdom and love.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated. May that love be in us and among us until we gather together again. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for one more gift of music.